Hi, I'm Jen Tripp, Executive Director of the Arlington Chamber of Commerce. One of the things I enjoy about my position is working with the town of Arlington to promote local business. The Chamber and Ted Fields, Arlington's Economic Development Coordinator, hosted an informational presentation featuring MetroSense. MetroSense helps businesses leverage their biggest advantage, the shopping experience, by using inexpensive and innovative technology in order to connect town stores with community and business networks. I hope you find this presentation by Sam MacMullan, the Chief Technical Officer for MetroSense, to be informative and interesting.
So what we wanted to do today is I wanted to give you guys a quick intro to MetroSense, which is our location analytics platform. And then we have a little demo that we can set up for you as well, so you can actually see the hardware and see the user interface. We weren't really able to kind of set the full thing up, just because we didn't want to mount anything on these pretty walls. But hopefully it'll give you a little bit of a flavor for some of the technology. So as you guys, I'm sure, are aware, traditional stores like yours, are under siege from online retailers like Amazon. And a big reason for that is that those stores like Amazon are making heavy use of analytics. They can track pretty much every click that you make, and based on that, as you're shopping, they tailor the whole experience, to maximize sales and their profits. Because of that, e-retailers' share of the market has gone from about 2% to more than 5% over the last 8-9 years. And analysts project that e-retailers will have about a 10% market share in another 5 years. Fortunately, stores like you can fight back and use your own form of analytics. So in this case, instead of tracking clicks, our analytics solution and others' analytics solutions use sensors. So you can use sensors to track the location of people in your stores and kind of characterize their behavior to a certain extent as well. And with that, you can optimize marketing, merchandising, and staffing. And initial solutions are showing more than a 10% conversion rate improvement in many stores. At the same time, with reduced staffing costs, and also lower theft and fraud as well. So it's a huge potential benefit. Unfortunately, most of the existing solutions have some serious problems. For one, they're expensive. Another thing is they're really hard to use, complicated to install, and really complicated to kind of integrate in with some of your other systems. For example, point of sales, data that you might have, or any employee tracking data that you might have. They're limited in the sense that the accuracy that they can provide and the analytics that they can provide are somewhat limited. And finally, there's also some privacy concerns that have been stoked by some of the initial solutions that are out there. Some of them are doing things like facial recognition. Others are kind of snooping in on your traffic on your phone to kind of see what you're looking at. So people definitely don't want a solution like that. So we believe anything that emerges in this space is going to have to carefully respect people's privacy. So our solution to overcome the issues with current designs is to use two kinds of sensors, and I hope you guys can see this. So the two types of sensors are a Wi-Fi sensor, and the other one is an image processor. And I'll just pass around the Wi-Fi sensor. I got a couple of them. And this is our image processing sensor. So it's kind of the same kind of form factor. It's real small, easy to mount. So these two sensors, they work very synergistically with one another, which allows us to achieve low cost and high performance. So the Wi-Fi sensor, what it does is it can track people anywhere in the store, whereas the image processor counts people in key areas, like an entrance to the store, or perhaps point of sale locations. So just kind of further elaborating, so what Wi-Fi does is it looks for your smartphone or your tablet So assuming that a shopper hasn't turned their smartphone or tablet off, it'll ping every few seconds. So we listen for those pings, and then based on the pings, we can figure out where in the store that shopper is located. It's not 100% accurate in the sense that we can locate to within 5-10 feet of accuracy where the location is. And another important thing is not everybody's going to have a phone, and not everybody's going to have their phone on. So we found roughly about half of the people who come into a store will have their phone on. But nonetheless, you can pretty quickly get a feeling for where people are going in the store, even if only half of the people have their phones on. So the image processor, on the other hand, is extremely accurate, and it'll catch just about everybody. And we'll give you a little demo if you come in and out of the store of how well it works. But we find it can detect people about a 95% accuracy. So that can be used just to count, for example, how many people are coming into the store over the course of the day. Okay, so then how does it then work after that? So we take our sensing information that we get off of the Wi-Fi devices and the image processors, and we pass that over to the cloud. So the cloud then runs all of our analytics. And at that point in time, then the store manager or anybody who's authorized to use the system can then access all of the reports that are generated on the cloud. And I'll describe in detail a lot of the analytics that we can produce this way. Just wanted to say at this point too, so besides our sensors, we can get a lot improved performance and analytics if we also tie in POS data and employee tracking data. So I know everybody probably has a different system for doing these kinds of things, but if we can get that kind of access, it just gives us all kinds of new avenues for providing analytics. So we can kind of tell you things like sales per customer and things like that, dollar-wise, if we can have access to the POS system. What would a typical store implementation look like? What this shows is we would put a image processor near the entrance. We could also put one along the sidewalk to count how many passerbys are coming by your store. And we could also potentially put one by the POS, which would really be cool if you saw a POS exception, for example, and you kind of could tie it together with the camera. So if there was some exception, you could have this guy take a picture and send it back to the cloud. So if you were then kind of looking back through your records, you could see, tied to the exception, here's an image at that point in time. So that talks about the image processors. Then in a small store, we would put Wi-Fi sensors in the corners. And that would work to about a 50-foot range. So that's still a pretty big, so up to a 50 by 50-foot store, you need only 4 sensors. And the Wi-Fi would then give you location analytics over the entire area. So these sensors are all then tied back to the internet just using the standard Ethernet cable. So it's real easy to install. And then basically that just gets data over to the cloud, and then a user can then access the cloud using our user interface, which we'll demo to you next. This is the main user interface that a store manager or authorized users would have. So a user would come to this on the web, on their browser, and choose a location and a building. So it would be your store, for example. And you come immediately to what we call the dashboard, and that's kind of like your launch page. And the dashboard has some basic information. So it can tell you, how many people have come into the store to that point of time in the day. If you've tied into the POS system, it can tell you how many, the amount of the sales per square foot might be an interesting metric to have. It can tell you the average sale per customer. And this is all customizable. So if you wanted to see something else, it's very easy to set it up to do that. I think another interesting thing that we do is we also offer alerts and advice. So an alert might be that the town event just ended, and you guys should expect an onrush of traffic. Get ready. Yeah. Another alert might be you had this big influx of customers into the store, so be ready for a long checkout line. So it's just kind of useful things like that that will come up on the dashboard. Advice is something that the application automatically does. And an example of advice would be if you put one of those image processors outside and count the number of passerbys, you can kind of get a feeling for what would be the best time for the store to be open. So if you saw a ton of people walking by at 8 in the morning, and you didn't open the store until 10, well, there's an indication that maybe you should open at 8. And vice versa, if you didn't see much traffic at night, then you would close earlier. So the application will kind of constantly be looking for things like that, and if it finds anything, it'll offer up advice on how you should reconfigure things. And we'll also show on the dashboard a couple of the primary charts, and I'll get to all of these in more detail. And these are all customizable as well. And so from the dashboard, you'll have two options that you can go to from the dashboard. One is analytics, and that'll be a lot of the data that I'll next talk about. And the other is what we call a map, and that'll be the floor plan of the store. And on that floor plan, you'll be able to see the location of all the devices that are being detected at that particular time. So it's a real-time indicator. And you can also see an estimate of how many people are in different zones in the store as well. Okay, so assuming we now went from the dashboard over to the analytics page, I'm now going to run through some of the analytics that the application can provide. So one real useful bit of information that you might want to know is capture rate, which is, okay, so of the people passing by in front of the store, how many of them actually come into the store? So that's what this shows, and you can kind of show it on a graph over time, and the index, the area of time that you look over can be configured, so you can look over a month, you can look over a day, whenever. You go past and see what happened in the So on this we also show events, which are indicated by these little E's. So an event might be, well, I changed the window display last Tuesday, and now I want to see if that made any effect on my capture rate. So you can, assuming the store manager or somebody entered that into the system, then that will show up. And if they see some kind of anomaly in the data, then they can click on that E and it'll open up a dialog which tells you what the event was. So yeah, this would definitely be very useful for things like analyzing the effectiveness of changing the window display. Kind of that example I gave you before, looking at operating hours. So another kind of key bit of information that a store would like to know is conversion rate. So of the people that come into the store, how many of them actually buy something? So we can do that a couple of different ways. The easiest way would be to use image processors, one at the entranceway, and then one that counts people coming into the point of sale location. We can also do it through Wi-Fi. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's another way that we can do it. And we could also do it through tying into point of sales. But in any case, kind of similar to the capture rate graph that I showed in the last time, we can adjust the time dimension that we look over for showing the results. We can show events as well. So an event in this case might be, okay, there was some kind of concert in town, and what happened, there was an onrush of customers to the store and all wanted to buy something related to the town event, who knows. But the conversion rate's great because if you tie it in with your employee data, you can kind of see how conversion rate might match with staffing, and you can assess the effectiveness of promotions, things like that, how it affects conversion rate. Okay, so another thing that we can do is dwell. So with the Wi-Fi system, we can actually tell you how long somebody's been in the store. So you can see how many people, determine bounce rate, which is people come in and they leave really quickly, which is a pretty interesting thing to know. Then you can also see, okay, well, there's 20% of the people stay between 2 and 10 minutes, or 40% stay between 10 and 20 minutes, whatever. These durations can be adjusted. But it's great for, it can be determined in different locations in the store as well. So you can see if somebody's engaging with a particular product or a particular display, all this through using the dwell capability. So the next is retention. So what we can also determine is we can determine if a customer has been in the store before. So we can look at some information that comes in their Wi-Fi transmissions, and we can tell if they've been there in the past or not. So that might be useful. For example, just to see, I have some promotions to incur loyalty, so loyalty programs and whatnot. Are they working? Are people coming back to the store more often because of this? And in this sense, we can look at it in terms of how many people were here a day ago, how many people were here sometime in the last week, how many people have been here sometime in the last month, or how many people are new to the store. So that's retention. So I think another really useful analytics tool is our heat maps. So what heat maps are basically, they show you the foot traffic over the store over a particular interval using heat maps. So red, of course, is where you had the highest number of people in the store over that period of time. So with these, you can see, okay, well, there was something exciting going on over here. Or maybe it's just a natural tendency for where people come into the store, they tend to congregate because of the structure of the store at that location. So all kinds of things that you can do with that. Maybe you put your high margin products in the areas where people just naturally seem to congregate. If there are areas that are cold, you kind of figure out why. Maybe it's blocked for some reason. So yeah, there's all kinds of things that you can do with heat maps. Okay, and I mentioned this before. We can also show real-time results on the floor plan. This is the floor plan, and all these dots
Those are all people?
on the floor plan are people that are detected at a particular point in time. Yeah. So we can kind of segregate it into dots that are new people that have never been seen before, and then dots of people who've been there in the past. And if you click on one of the dots, then you can get even more information. Like, okay, well, this person's been in the store for 5 minutes, or this person, last time they were here was 3 weeks ago. That kind of information. So you can see that, see that in real time. Okay, so I just wanted to come back. The product's named MetroSense for a reason. And one of the things that we've thought long and hard about is, it has a unique capability for collaboration. So not only store-to-store collaboration, but also collaboration between stores and the town, and business networks, and the Chamber of Commerce. So just, there's all kinds of ideas in ways that collaboration can happen. I just kind of threw out a couple of them, but I think there's just many more that you could think of. So one idea would be for stores, if they were willing to share passerby data, kind of the sidewalk traffic that they're seeing at a particular time with the town, with the Chamber of Commerce. And through that, then the town can kind of say, okay, well, when should I have town events? It can kind of give an indication of how it might best stimulate business by having town events at a particular time. You can also see, based on the town event, where the traffic flows to. Maybe it only trickles down 2 blocks from where the event happened. And why is that? Well, maybe there was a parking problem, or maybe there was a traffic problem. So, you kind of just the analytics you can very quickly kind of see the trends that might be causing certain things to happen. So another thing that you could do is the town could provide free Wi-Fi in public areas as well. And with that, you could then use the same kind of location analytics that we were just talking about, but now in the public areas. So that could be very interesting and very beneficial to stores, because then the location analytics in the public areas could say, okay, well, the event is now over. I see this onrush of traffic. Stores, be ready. Be ready to expect a bunch of customers in 5 minutes. So that's kind of, some of the things that you could do. You could also, if you had the free Wi-Fi, then at that point in time, the users associated with your access point, so you can push things to them, to their phone at that point in time. So you could tell them town events, give them an indication of the schedule of town events. You could even push to them store coupons and things like that using the free Wi-Fi. So just another thing that you could do, I was kind of thinking store to town and Chamber of Commerce collaboration, but stores can also collaborate, if they're willing to share information with one another. So one way that they could do that is they could share kind of lists of where customers have been. You could kind of track. So customer goes from, in 10% of the cases, customer goes from the ice cream store to the movie theater, or this restaurant to the movie theater. And the stores could kind of share that information. And then based on that, the first store, knowing that in a lot of cases the customer may go to the movie theater, they could offer a coupon to kind of stimulate business in that way. Another way that they could share information is just if there was some theft or fraud or some just suspicious thing going on in their store, they could kind of send an alert across to all the other stores to be on the lookout for this particular theft or fraud capability, possibility. So yeah, I think the list is endless really though, once you kind of start thinking about all the ways that you can collaborate and the system's set up to encourage that, facilitate it. All right, well with that, just wanted to kind of dive in and give you guys a little demo. So I don't know if you noticed, but we put a camera outside.
Really? You didn't tell us?
So what it's doing is it's counting the number of people that are coming in and out of the store. So,
What if you run really fast?
Yeah, so who was late for the meeting? Yeah.
Have you been driven?
Okay.
What circumstances?
All right, so this is what a store manager or whoever else who's using this application would see when they come in. So the first thing after they would log in and authenticate and make sure we know who you are, you would choose a location. So in this case, Arlington. And then you would choose a building. So say, I don't know if there's a Gap in Arlington.
Not yet. No longer.
Yeah. Okay, well, so if there were a Gap, they would go to there. So we showed you this before. Maybe it's a little easier to see now that it's a little bit wider screen. But this is the dashboard that you get to. So one thing that we should be able to show you now is, so it's actually running.
You want to get up?
So we're counting the number of people
Here he
that come in.
First customer.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you can see it. So it's kind of cool. Hopefully it gets me when I come in.
Is
All right.
it getting because of your
That's your
iPhone
image.
or because of your?
No, it's because of the image processor.
So just count.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just a count. But it's, you can see it's really accurate. It's about 95% accurate. We don't have the Wi-Fi set up. It's time consuming to set it up. It needs a little bit of calibration.
Is the heat map and the traffic map, are those based on the image sensor or the Wi-Fi?
They're based on the Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we kind of walked through most of the things on this before. So we can go to analytics. And most of these right now are based on Wi-Fi. So we don't have Wi-Fi running. So unfortunately, we can't give you like a live demo of what's going on with the Wi-Fi. So we just have data that we stubbed into the database right now. But hopefully you can kind of see. So this is the capture rate that we talked about. So it's just showing you passerbys and visitors, and maybe Nick, you can kind of change the, yeah, so you can do all kinds of cool stuff like that. You can change the, what data you're looking over. Yeah, you can kind of use the cursor and kind of see exactly what the value is. And if you want, you can reset the zoom.
And what's really powerful about this technology is you use both the cameras and the Wi-Fi together.
Exactly.
And that's, you get the accuracy and then you get the tracking of the two technologies, which is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of how you get to a lower cost, higher performing solution. So each one individually has issues and limitations, but combined, it's a great combination. So the Wi-Fi can cover the whole room and characterize the whole room, whereas the cameras are great for just getting key areas where people might be coming in. Okay, so we talked about all of these before, but there's dwell rate. It's the same kind of thing. How long have people been in the store? And again, you can kind of.
So what's the orange and the green and the blue and the?
Yeah, so this is just a bar chart. The orange represents the count of how many people were in the store less than 2 minutes.
Okay.
So that might, this is kind of the bounce rate in that case. The green is 2 to 10. The dark blue is 10 to 20, and then the light blue is 20 plus. And all these things can be configured. Yeah, they can all be configured. But. Retention, again, we talked about that. In this case, the orange, the peach, those are all new customers that they haven't been seen before in the store. The green is they haven't been seen in a month. The blue is they haven't been seen in a week, and the light blue haven't been seen in a day or so.
What kind of consumer data are you capturing for that to be able to report on a repeat visit?
What kind of, sorry?
What kind of consumer data do you capture and hold?
The only thing that we capture for the image processors is just the count. So there's no data beyond that for the image processors. For the Wi-Fi, what we do is, so the phone sends a packet, it sends these probe requests, and it contains their MAC address. So what we do is we scramble the MAC address immediately and send that over to the server. So we can't reconstruct it, but we have a scrambled version of the MAC address on the server. And that's basically all the information that we have. So we're not doing facial recognition or not reading anything off the messages or anything like that. Yeah.
But now this type of technology meets the European Union privacy standards, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Which are much stricter than.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, and one option, if you could put a little tag on a window saying, that you are being monitored, and just kind of describe, the details of which the information that's being shared.
So if I understand correctly, in the store-to-store commonality of customers, how would they know, they went to the ice cream store and then the theater?
So
How would they share that information?
So both of the stores will have their information on our cloud and on our servers independently. So, and we'll have rigid walls in most cases so that one store won't be able to access another store's data. But we'll provide, if the two stores agree upon it, or a set of stores, then we'll set it up so that they can share a limited amount of information. So if they wanted to share, if they wanted to share the IDs of hashed IDs, not the real ones, of customers that were in the store on a particular day, then we could kind of see, is there a match? Is there a correlation between store 1 and store 2? And in that way, then they could start thinking, okay, maybe I should do some coupons or something to encourage.
And then can they communicate via the MetroSense about if there was some sort of alert, if someone, if someone's trying to pass a bag check?
Definitely.
And they can send that out?
That was Yeah, that was another great idea that you could use the system for. So if one store is seeing, somebody tries to write a bad check, then send an alert out to
Right.
everybody. So, I would think that stores would want to agree to participate in the sharing of information, but if they do, that's one really good benefit of using MetroSense is that we do partition the data so that it makes it easy to share information like that.
So when that alert goes out, do they have to be on the shared system?
No, can we back up?
And is that an immediate thing, like if someone came in to the store right now?
Yeah, so if they're on their dashboard, it would just come up. We have this little alert mechanism. So if they're looking there, and if there is an alert and they're not on the dashboard, we'll have a little indicator that's showing you you need to come back over to the dashboard if there's something of interest happening right now.
Is there a way to get that notification pushed out to like the owner's cell phone or something like that? Is there a way to forward it?
Yeah,
We could do that.
text and generate emails too.
I could see that somebody wanting to, view reports on like a daily or weekly basis, but being logged in all the time to a dashboard is probably,
Right.
unless they're on their POS system and they're really checking it out.
Yeah, no, right. Yeah, so I mean, we didn't really talk too much about it, but reporting, we can make reports very easily. Taking snapshots of any of the charts that are shown. You can provide third-party access to any of the data as well. So it's very flexible in that. It's a standard cloud-based architecture.
So I'm trying to, I run the theater, the Performing Arts Center, so we're not a traditional retailer, so I'm trying to process what part of this is applicable and what parts aren't, because clearly we don't have a store where people are walking around, we have a box office, so they're only coming to one place unless they're going to look at some schedules across the wall or something. Now outside, in terms of image processing, unfortunately, we're at a bus stop. So it's going to show all these people in front of the theater waiting for a bus or going, have no interest.
But you can focus the camera, the image processor in a particular direction, maybe away from the bus stop.
I mean, it would be good to know who's coming and looking at the posters that are on the marquee or up on our listings.
Sure.
And then also for people going in and out, like during box office hours, you could see who's coming to the door early, and not getting in,
Right.
But we, the employees, are always going in and out of that door, so that would skew the number of people.
But you'd have your net thing, right? You could exclude that, the employees?
Yeah, so we could exclude I think one thing that came to mind for your application situation would be queue management, line management. So I don't know if you have an automated way to kind of see, how long the line is at a particular point in time.
Right.
But you could set the counters up, and you could kind of see, over the course of the day, how long does the line get, and that would suggest, okay, well, between 7 and 9, I'm drastically understaffed because the line's, way around the corner, whereas, so it might be good for staffing.
And definitely, for connecting with the other businesses,
Right.
and over time, people say, well, when does the show let out? But over the course of a month or a year, there's shows that let out at different times. It's certainly good for a restaurant to know
Right.
that
They're
on
coming.
average, there's 150 people leaving at 10 o'clock. You shouldn't close your restaurant at 10
Right.
o'clock or something like that. But, so let's say in a day we have the image processors outside the theater, and they're capturing the movement of people and whether or not they're stopping to look at what the posters say, or whether they're just coming to the bus stop, or whether they're coming through the doors. I'm trying to understand how that's captured and how long it takes to kind of see that information.
Sure.
What am I seeing?
You can see it kind of up to the moment, up to the live. So you can kind of choose the interval over which you're interested in looking. So if you just wanted to see today, how many people came up and looked at the posters, or how many people looked at the posters and then came in, you can see that because you can choose the start and stop times of all these analytics. So you can see capture rate, which would be the one example. And you can set it up just to look for today and see it that way. You can look at it over the course of a week, and you can see daily kind of how it changes, things like that.
But it's not like a video camera where you can actually see the people coming and going. It's just capturing the data, the movement of.
It's just capturing people, and I should kind of emphasize too. All of the image processing that we do it right on this. So it's a little bit different than a typical surveillance system, in that they have video feeds that go back to some server. So the benefit of doing it this way is it just greatly reduces cost. So there's not a lot, you don't have a lot of cloud computing storage requirements and a lot of processing that actually has to happen on the cloud. So because of that, we can greatly lower cost, and we can enable all this collaboration that we were talking about as well. So that's why we steered away from the video feeds.
Right.
But we definitely think still, you could do things like I mentioned before. You can still take snapshots, you can take pictures and send them back and store them. So if you saw, if you had some indication that there might be fraud happening at a particular point in time, you could have this thing snap a picture and time tag it. Yeah.
Is it waterproof if it's outdoors?
We're working on that.
Okay.
It will be.
How does it actually detect a fraud? Like if someone's in a store and they're trying to steal something?
Sure. Well, the easiest way would be to tie into the POS. So the POS system generates exceptions. If it's something strange happening, it'll just automatically generate an exception, and we'll report that to the database. There's some other ways, though. So if you see somebody lurking in the store for an abnormally long period of time, or if they're and especially if they're lurking in the store in an area where nobody ever goes, then we will look for that kind of stuff as well. And if we see it, that'll be something that will pop up onto the alert button. That in any case, if somebody's been lurking over in the corner, you should probably send an employee over to see if they need some help.
Does the employee get the alert from the owner, or can the employee get like a text saying, there's someone lurking in the corner?
The employee could get a text, so you could set it up so that, you could kind of choose the alerts that you want to forward to different people. So in that case, you could forward go check out this employee or this customer.
But there's no way to set it so that the system automatically does that. Somebody would have to be monitoring the dashboard.
No, the system could automatically do it. Yeah, you just have to filter the things that you don't want everything probably to go to everybody, but you could filter it that just these kind of alerts go to certain employees. Yeah.
So would an alert pop up if that were the case? Like if someone was there in one spot and extraordinary at one time?
Yeah, so we would come up on here, and depending on how you filtered things, that you would send a text message or whatever over to the employees to alert them.
So I was just trying, the other night I was at hearing some music at a club, and I got an alert that there was a flood warning.
Oh, I got that when I was
from
driving.
I never received that before. I never signed up for anything, so I don't even know how that happened. But if let's say that night I was at that same place, is it possible I would get an alert that says, okay, you have 100 people in line at the theater, and we thought it wouldn't be a busy night. And I was like, okay, I better get over there because they need help, kind of.
Yeah, that's exactly what this kind of thing is going to do. So, I mean, I'm curious, do any of you have any kind of location analytics now? Like just door counters? Or
I have a
things?
window I look out. Oh, there's someone coming.
Okay. Okay.
I open it up and I say, I'm sorry, we're closed.
Clipboard.
Yeah.
Clipboard, as people come in, we ask them if they want to be on our mailing list.
Right.
That's basically.
Does the bank have them, Kathleen? Does Cambridge say, do the banks have it? They must, right? Yeah.
See, because
We have the actual cameras.
our point of sale is we do, I don't know, 50% online, so we're capturing stuff a different way, not in the storefront. But then if people are walking in to buy tickets, then it is more of a manual thing where we have to keep track, you know. And
I mean, is that POS data accessible?
what's that?
Is the kind of the POS data accessible for both the online and the people who come into the store?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because we try to get their email addresses and things like that. And we've had problems where someone comes up to the window and buys tickets and pays cash, and we have no record of the customer, and then we have to try to find them if the show is canceled or something like that.
Oh,
So yeah, that's just one of the things we have to be careful of.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess, is there anything on here we missed?
What were the numbers? I mean, that's sort of.
So this is the number of people coming in. This is if you tied into the POS system, you can figure out the sales per square foot for the day. And then also if you tied in the POS system, you can figure out what the average sale was per customer. You know, if you didn't have that kind of information, we could put some other things, and it's just user configurable, whatever they would like to see on the dashboard, the things that they would monitor. And then, you know, talk about the alerts and the advice. And these charts are also configurable. So if there's a particular chart of interest, then that can be chosen to be placed on the dashboard.
So you customize it wherever you retail store.
Yeah. And I would just say in general, you know, we're local, and we're more than happy to kind of come in and see your particular. I think every store is going to be unique. So we'd be happy to come in and kind of see, you know, your layout of your store and make a suggestion for how many sensors you would need, what installation would be all about. If you can kind of click a couple of charts in, I'll go back to the presentation actually, if you can easily. One more? The other way. Yeah. Yeah, so we kind of think of it that we have two basic plans. We call one basic and the other advanced. And the basic would be basically an image processor at the door, and then one Wi-Fi node in the store, which will give you a lot of capabilities, but not all of the capabilities like the advanced would offer. So if, for example, you wanted to see heat maps of the store, the only way that the Wi-Fi devices can determine the position of the phone is by having multiple Wi-Fi sensors. So if you only had one, you wouldn't be able to do things like heat maps. So that's probably the biggest difference between basic and advanced. But in terms of this basic plan, in all cases, we would offer the alerts and the advice that we talked about. Installation would be included in support. We'll set something up for online, and you know, we're local, and definitely very eager to work with you. So very accessible in terms of any issues that you might have. And like I say, you know, I think every store is going to be unique, and you know, there may be options that one particular store is interested in that some others aren't, and we're willing to kind of come in and talk with you and assess your needs and give you our pricing estimate based on that.
What's the average cost of a system, and is there a monthly maintenance fee?
So our average cost is of this basic, and this is, again, every system is going to be different, but this would start around $75, and there's no other costs, so that includes the devices too, and installation. The advanced is going to be $200, $225, in that ballpark.
per month.
Per month, yeah.
So there isn't in that front, it's the monthly.
It's just monthly.
And what did you say the basic was, 100?
The basic's 75, yeah. And that's one of the Wi-Fi and one of these guys, yeah. Which gives you definitely a lot of capabilities. But you know, you're lacking, the heat map capability and kind of some of the other things like the dwell in You can't figure out how long somebody's dwelling in a particular location. You can only figure out how long they're dwelling in the store. Yeah. So the main difference in the two is just, you're gonna need many more sensors in that case. So you're gonna be using a lot more cloud computing.
Is there a minimum amount of months you have to do the service to get the 75 per month?
12 months is what we were
For the
thinking.
year.
Yeah. Again, we're flexible. We're happy to.
Question for Ted, since you're the only person working for the town that's here, I don't know if you can answer this at all, but has the town discussed free Wi-Fi areas, and actually, is that something that?
The town manager is investigating that, and there have been some backers who have offered to give the town some money initially to jumpstart the project. It's an ongoing project for the town manager.
And I don't know, I mean, gets into more of the area of surveillance and not like a particular store, but for example, Broadway Plaza has a lot of people hanging out that aren't there to shop, they're just hanging out, and that's one of the problems with Broadway Plaza. You know, I could see one of these sensors, attached to at least one of the storefronts that might show the movement in Broadway
Right.
Plaza, and people that are not moving.
Yeah, you get an alert. Still sitting there.
And I mean, it would be a
lying
great study to have over time,
Yeah.
too, so, I mean, it's just a thought. It's not the purpose of this system.
Yeah, and these Wi-Fi nodes, they're great. They're robust outdoors, so there's no problem with those. We're just trying to make these camera guys the same robustness to outdoors.
What is the range or the distance range of a typical image sensor?
The image sensor, it's probably about 25 feet. Yeah, the Wi-Fi ones are about 50 feet, and maybe a little bit longer than that. Yeah.
Can you move them once they're up, or you just pick one spot?
You can move them. There's a little bit of calibration involved, so yeah, you probably have to have us come in and
Right.
yeah, but it's a real quick change.
Also, just trying to visualize when you say 25 feet, and let's say it wasn't waterproof, so we had it at the front of the doors where people come in, how wide would it be captured?
It's about 100 degrees, if that. So yeah, I mean we work really well with a 2-door configuration. So I don't know, maybe yours is
More like
broad.
4, but
Yeah. Also, you could use 2 of them in that case. Yeah.
So even though it's robust, do you detect failures? So let's say a camera goes down,
Yep.
detector goes up, do you detect the failures?
And that's something that'll come up on the alerts as well. So we're kind of continually checking to make sure everything's working fine. And if there's some kind of issue, it'll show up on the alerts. Yeah.
So how easy is it to make entries? You said like if someone changes the storefront display, they need to make an entry in, so you need to mark that, as let's say the treatment point being. So how easy is it for someone to make those entries?
Nick or Chris, just so if we.
I guess I don't understand the question.
No. So we have the events that are taking place. Like somebody changed the window display.
Okay.
What would be the mechanism by which they would enter in that data?
So we would have a form, they could type, what the event was, what time they did it, just in case, oh, I did it 2 days ago, but I forgot to enter it, so let me do it now. And then it would submit that to the server, and it would show up.
So they just go to their dashboard and type it in, or
Yeah.
they? Okay.
Yeah.
So it would just be, you enter some text, different fields, and you generate it and send it out. And anyone who would sign up to receive an alert would receive it.
So So, because I mean, the real value of something like this is analyzing the data. I mean, it can sit there, but if no one analyzes it, they're not going to get any real information out of it. And so, what kind of support do you give with respect to that? I mean, because you said you give advice with respect to setting up the cameras, but in terms of helping people, determine how to really data mine the information that's there, do you help with that?
I think, as I was saying, we'll come in and we'll talk with every store individually and kind of see, they'll have particular desires, particular constraints. So we'll work together and we'll decide which of these, the analytical things that we talked about make the most sense for that particular store owner. And then while we're there, we'll just kind of quickly run through a demo and show all of the, how to use all these things.
Is there a manual? Do you have a manual?
Yeah.
Excellent, great. And retention, so you said you can go back 30 days, can you go back longer than that?
Sure.
How long?
Right now we're thinking of storing data for a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so the third-party handoff is the last question. I mean, so the third-party handoff, does that cost anything to get that information? I mean, so that you can hand it off to the third party, whether it be to another company or yourself?
The quick answer is probably no, but we'd want to kind of see exactly what you wanted to do and kind of how complicated it would be to interface with that third party. If it's easy, then it would be free. Yeah, but I mean, from our side, it should be pretty easy to give them access.
Just raw data.
Yeah.
It'd be easy just to get raw data.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a standard interface with raw data. So as long as they have credentials together, you can export it into a CSV file or something like that, or really any format, JSON or XML.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Anything else?
Great.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Good luck.